Welcome to All for One, the ultimate series where we share knowledge, celebrate wins, and tackle the ups and downs of the vacation rental industry. I'm Katie Bien.
And I'm Christy Conway. And between Katie and I, we have a combined 25 years in the vacation rental industry. Every week, we are going to bring you a 5-minute episode packed with information on how to focus on growing your company and, of course, making sure your company stands out.
So pull up a chair and join us as we delve into the fascinating world of vacation rental management on All for One. Because when it comes to success in this industry, we're all in it to win it together. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We are so excited. We have Alicia McPhillips here. Alicia is part of our fractional business development team here at Ventori. So what that means is that she helps some of our partners on a fractional level to remotely be their business development rep. And the wonderful thing about it is that she is a total rock star, but it's also a fraction of the cost of hiring somebody as a full-time BD rep on your team. Now, Alicia has this amazing statistic that I love to share with people because this just highlights how much of a rock star business development rep she is. In 9 months with one of our partners, she closed 23 homes with a total annual gross booking revenue just under $1.3 million. I mean, that is massive. And we have another partner who's been with us for only 3 months, and she's gotten 5 contracts signed already with a $400,000 addition in their annual gross booking revenue. So what Alicia will do is come into your team, she'll take your calls, she'll get those contracts signed because she is just a true closer, amazing business development rep. Thank you so much for being here with us, Alicia.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Well, we are excited to pick your brain. I know Christy and I have a lot of questions, right, Christy?
Oh yeah, I'm sitting here burning, ready to ask my first one. Trying to wait. So excited to have you, Alicia. It's such a cool division of Ventori. I've never even heard of, a remote business development person. So kind of going with that, Alicia, I think what's really important for people to know is we talk to a lot of partners all the time and they're like, hey, I live in Texas, but my vacation rental property company is actually in Anna Maria, Florida. So, we're really ready to pick your brain about how does that work? How can you be remote? How can you be successful? So if we could start there, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that there are a lot of property managers that do have that question. And that's a big hurdle when they think about, say, bringing me on to help their company, right? How can you know my market? How are you going to be able to be impactful if you can't be in person? And I do think that the remote world has changed a lot since COVID, and remote can work and it does work. I think that the most important part is, so in my role, when we bring on a partner, I'll fly out to that market and I go there and I learn it and I breathe it for several days, and I go to the restaurants that are yummy. Maybe I'll do a really cool staple activity. I just walk around, look at the shops, just like I would live there. And so when I'm having these conversations with homeowners, it's not something that really comes up much. They're not like, hey, do you live right down the road from the office? And they don't really ask those questions because the conversation, how it flows, they already assume that I know the market. And that is the goal, is that I do know the market because I've spent time there.
So when somebody calls in and they say, hey, Alicia, I'm inquiring, my property's at 123 ABC Street. How do you respond to that so they understand that, hey, you live there and they don't need to ask if you're remote?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have multiple screens. So when they're talking to me and telling me these things, I'm instantly putting it in one screen, looking where it's at. I usually almost always have a map as well pinned. I've been in the markets, but I like to have a map. I like to be able to locate the streets. And I also say, you know, with my partners, I have their inventory broken down into what communities they're in. So if they say they're in so and so neighborhood, I almost instantly know, oh my gosh, we love that neighborhood because we do. We manage 50 properties there, and I can easily tell them that. So I think that that really helps, just making sure I have all the tools to know. And maybe that location is right by the lobster roll shack that I had a bite at when I was visiting, and I can be like, oh my gosh, you're right by my favorite little spot. And they're like, oh my gosh, me too. And you instantly make this connection and like a love for a place that they love too. They bought their second home there because they want to enjoy their time at it. And when they're not there, they want to make some money as well. But being able to make that connection with the homeowner, it just instantly gives that credibility, and the connection is so important because that little bit of loyalty and connection is what makes them feel comfortable with jumping onto your program with you. They trust you now because you guys both love the lobster roll.
For sure.
And so you have a knack for that, of building relationships with people. What are some tools that people can use to help them in the sales process? What do you find to be the most helpful?
Keeping all of my potential homeowners organized is probably the most important thing. So having a well-organized CRM. And so some of my partners too, that I just start on with them, I'm getting set up in their CRM. And, you know, sometimes it's a little messy, and I can see where this disorganization was not helping them, not doing it any justice. So having an organized CRM is like number one. Number two, and three and four and five would be just using, taking advantage of technology and being able to utilize email templates, automations. I have templates set up, and I customize those templates for homeowners and those responses. But having something set where when a homeowner says, hey, I really want to know what I could potentially make in my home, could you send me a projection? Of course, I'd love to. So I start working on that, and I have a template where I would send that projection over in, but I'd customize it before I send it. Hey, it was lovely speaking with you. This is what we think we could do, and then any little tidbits inside. But the templates save you so much time. And you know, this is a time when you're working these leads and you have a lot of homeowners you're speaking with, like time is money. So we just want to, there's only so many hours in a day. So we want to make sure we're taking advantage of that. And that's with automations too. So maybe if you don't have a set business development rep and you're the property manager that's a one-man show and you're doing it all, automations are great. Have a CRM that has automations that can be able to do these automatic follow-ups for you. So say you have a homeowner that's kind of, they're unresponsive at this point. Maybe they're ghosting you, or maybe they're just busy, but you're busy too. So you can drop them into your pipeline in a certain step and use an automation that works for you until the homeowner answers you, and then you can jump back in. So those are definitely some tactics that could help you win those leads.
So here's the big question. How do you get those people into your pipeline? So where are they coming from? What is it that your partners are doing to actually generate these leads for you to talk to someone? So I'm assuming they just don't show up. What is it that your partners are doing so your phone or your email or your text is going off?
Marketing is huge. So making sure that you're consistent with your marketing. So I find that my most successful partners, they are consistently sending direct mail. They're consistently doing cold email campaigns. They're consistently, we're reaching out to realtors when they have new listings or sold listings. And we're not just doing, say, direct mail once. We're doing monthly direct mail, and we're consistently doing it month over month because it takes several touches before someone picks up the phone, right?
Mhm.
So they keep on reaching out to these homeowners, and eventually they do cross over, whether it's in the middle of the season where they're feeling all their pain points and they're like, you know, I want to start shopping again and looking for them, or if it's after the season and they're like, hey, I've got 10 of your postcards. Tell me what you can do for me now. And then after that point, though, getting them into your pipeline and having them reach out is the first step. But picking up the phone, answering the emails, answering the
Mhm.
chat widget, they'll text you. People love texting nowadays. Answering them is like the second most important part. Getting them there into the pipeline and then answering them.
Mhm.
And then following up, nurturing it, being responsive to it, listening to what their problems are, their pain points, and then coming back to them and saying, hey, I hear what your pain point is. This is what we do different.
So what is the pain point that most people are trying to solve? What are people looking for when they switch property managers?
I would say a really big one is property care.
Okay.
Um, and responsiveness and communication.
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of homeowners that say, hey, I called my property manager. I still haven't heard from them. And it's 3 days, 4 days. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I would get that. And and revenue, maximizing the revenue is important, especially with how the market has changed and has started to adjust post-COVID. People worry about that as well. But I do think property care and responsiveness is
Yeah.
really important. And the homeowner, they want to trust who's taking care of their property. I mean, it's one of their largest assets, right?
And that starts with the first phone call, right?
Yeah.
So if they don't trust, and that's the thing too, is if somebody doesn't trust you from that first phone call, you put all this money out there and then you pick up the phone and you say hello, or it's not a good like connection right from the bat, you've lost them. So great job on, being
Yeah.
able to for
Yeah.
sure.
I,
Because
and I think being an active listener to those homeowners is what is extremely important too. So if you're doing the business development side of things yourself, when you pick up that phone, a friendly hello and just listening actively to them,
Mhm.
and homeowners like that. And like we said, they want to trust you with one of their largest assets. And if they're not there, because a lot of our homeowners that I speak to, they don't live in the area, right? So they are relying solely on that company, your property management company, to care for their home. And a nice revenue packed at the end of the year is nice too. But but they want you to care for the home and they want to be able to feel secure about it.
That's great. And then what about have you noticed different owner personas, and like do you have different sales tactics for how you work with an investor, for example, versus somebody who has a lot of sentimental attachment to a home? What does that look like?
Someone who just has it as an investment, it's more of we're kind of going through numbers and what that management looks like number wise. And of course, they want to make sure you're caring for the home, but normally that owner might be a little bit more revenue focused. Whereas the person who has had their home for 10 years, they do the family vacations, they have their grandchildren. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about their home like it's just a property, right? It's a
Yeah.
home. You created a lot of memories, and now your home gets to create memories for many other families. And they love that because it's something special to them and they get to share that piece with other people. So yeah, you got to approach the two a little bit differently. And that's why it's so important to listen and actively listen in that beginning of the call to understand who is your audience, who are you speaking to right now, and what are their goals, and then you can go from there.
Alicia, thank you for your time today. Katie and I were so excited to talk to you and pick your brain about the fractional business development department. So after our conversation, can you give everybody just a couple action items that they should be doing today?
Yeah, so I'd say immediate action items. We've got send your marketing consistently, reach out to your local realtors, be responsive, have an organized CRM,
Mm-hmm.
know your competitors, and if you don't already, get a dedicated business development rep.
Absolutely. It's really important to have that person on your team who can take those calls. And of course, we can do all that for you here at Ventori too. Let us know if you want to talk more about Ventori and maybe even get Alicia as your BD rep.
Thanks again for joining us, Alicia, and maybe we'll see you real soon. And congratulations on all of your success. Super excited for you.
Absolutely. And everybody, don't forget to check back next Friday for the next episode of All for One. We'll see you all later. Bye.